and they're pushing really hard, so the baby just like pops out like a ping pong ball and just like flies across there. Who's catching that kid? Well, they grab the umbilical cord and pull him back. It's just like, whoa, I got him. Phew. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read the Bible so that you don't have to. And we are here in the book of Exodus. That's right, it's the second book of the Bible. I've already read Genesis, and I feel like I've accomplished something. I really do. Let's try to start fresh here. It's Exodus. What's going to happen? A lot of us know what it is. I can see in chapter 2, we're going to get right into Moses. I feel like the whole book's going to be Moses. That's the thing about it, that all of Exodus is just like Moses. I was getting sick of Joseph. I have a feeling that I'm going to hate Moses by the end of it. But let's see what happens. So we will be starting with Exodus chapter 1. Before I do, please do subscribe if you haven't, like the video, and leave a comment welcoming us to Exodus. It would be nice to see a little bit of engagement for sakes. Like, it's almost like me and God are the only people doing anything on this. God's not a person, but we're the only ones doing anything, right? He's 3 in 1, but we're the only number of people that are doing things. Or not people, we're the only number of beings that are doing anything with this, right? I'm reading it, he wrote it. You guys aren't even leaving me comments? Come on, get your act together. Exodus 1, verse 1. These are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan and Naphtali; Gad and Asher. The descendants of Jacob numbered 70 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation died. But the Israelites were fruitful and multiplied greatly and became exceedingly numerous, so that the land was filled with them. That was the promise. I mean, that's going to happen. We should have expected it. Then a new king who did not know about Joseph came to power in Egypt. Okay, so this is where there may be some trouble. Look, he said to his people, the Israelites have become too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country. Are we worried about them leaving the country, or maybe taking the country? I have a feeling. The thing is that if this Pharaoh knew anything, he'd be like, well, they wouldn't take this country. They already have one that's promised to them that they're going to take forcefully. So I don't really have to worry about that if he knew anything about promises. But anyway, so they put slave masters over them and oppressed them with forced labor. And they built Pithom and Ramses as store cities for Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with hard labor in brick and mortar and with all kinds of work in the field. In all their hard labor, the Egyptians used them ruthlessly. I said we were going to start fresh, but in Genesis, of course, because of the famine, all the Egyptians became indentured servants. That was fine. It was part of God's great plan. But now the Pharaoh, the new guy, he's like, yay. These Israelites, I don't trust them. They're going to ruin everything for us and leave. They're going to fight with any enemy that comes and attacks us. So what's the wicked and awesome plan? Wicked in a good way, that is to subjugate them and to keep them down. So it is bad, but they make it even worse. They're like forced labor, but now we're actually going to be ruthless because even though we're beating up on them, they're still procreating like rabbits. This is crazy. Like, we got to keep them down. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names are Ziphrah and Puah, when you help the Hebrew women in childbirth and observe them on the delivery stool, if it is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, let her live. The midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt told them to do. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" It's interesting that there are two midwives. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's two midwives. There's two nurses. There's two people delivering babies. I'm sure we're going to find out at some point how many Israelites actually left Egypt. Do you think that if there was a town of 100,000 people, two midwives would be able to handle that? 500,000 people? What about 600,000 people? What about 2 million people? Which might just be the number at some point. But two midwives? If it's 600,000, which is I think what it's going to be, two midwives? Really? Now, I don't know why it's wrong to kill all the boys, all the little baby boys. Maybe it's because they're Hebrews. Because again, I don't know if there will ever be a time where God kills all the boys, but I guess it's okay when he does it. The midwives answered Pharaoh, "Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." I think it's a little bit funny that the Pharaoh's like, "All right, okay, they're really vigorous and they're pushing really hard, so the baby just like pops out like a ping pong ball and just like flies across through. Who's catching that kid?" Well, they grab the umbilical cord and pull him back. It's just like, whoa, I got him. Phew. So God was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Look, two wrongs do make right. You can lie. If it's to save your skin, you can lie. There's sometimes, thou shalt not lie. If that comes up in this book, it's fine. It's fine sometimes. What are you talking about? Sometimes it's rewarded with families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people. "Every boy that is born you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live." Guys, this is a short chapter. This reminds me of the opposite of China. We love the boys. They're like, we want only girls. Are girls going to make great slaves? I guess they can still, just do the work. And I mean culturally. I know that women can do anything men can do. I'm not saying, I believe in equality, but I'm just not sure that they did back then. But anyway, let's leave it there, and we'll pick it up with chapter 2 next time. We've broken into the new book, and it was a short chapter, but it was nice. It set the lay of the land. Now let's see what happens. Now let us see how God delivers his people out of the land that he I don't want to blame God for everything, but everything is his fault. Ultimately, he is sovereign, he is all-knowing, he is all-powerful. So everything is God's fault, and please don't come at me for that. That is fact. But this even more so, because God was the one that caused the famine, which brought the Israelites to be in Egypt. Why is it that we always lapse on the idea that, what? God brought all these people into this country? No, but to save them from the famine. He did the famine. He did the famine to bring them here. Okay, but he didn't cause the Pharaoh to, maybe he didn't cause you're telling me he didn't know that that's what the Pharaoh would do? If you really think that there's a purpose to this stuff, good for you. You're giving God a lot of credit. And so far, I don't know if that credit is due. This is God's fault. He's made a mess here, and the mess is all his people are being ruthlessly enslaved. And so maybe he'll come up with a great plan or at least a fantastic story in order to get them out of there. And I'm here for it, and I hope you're here for it too. Please subscribe, like the video, send me a comment, ring the bell. Love me, love me, love me. Sorry, did I say that out loud? And have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.